running for Congress, Congresswoman Josephine Nene Sato. Good evening po, ma'am.
Good evening. Good evening, sir. Good
Kamusta po?
evening.
Kamusta po ang life?
Mabuti po. Never been better.
Ayan. And nabalitaan nga po namin babalik kayo sa Congress. So, off air, na-interview na po namin kayo for yung inyong landscape or political landscape during your years. Ano pong year kayo nag-start?
I started in 1988 when I ran for vice governor. And then, yeah, also here in Occidental Mindoro. And after one term, I ran for governor and was governor for 9 years. And then after that, I was in Congress for one term and went back to being governor for 9 years. And then after that, I went back to Congress for 9 years until 2022. That's 34 years.
Yes. Sa anong committee po natin kung
Yeah, but basically I was member of the Commission on Appointments. So the Commission on Appointments is a constitutional commission which confirms all the appointments of the President for his cabinet, promotions for the Philippine military, Philippine Army, and for the Foreign Service, the diplomats, the ambassadors, and consuls.
Sa panahon na kayo ay umupo bilang congresswoman dito sa ating lugar, sa Occidental Mindoro, ano yung mga nagawa ninyo para sa ating mga
Una po, kung dito lang po para sa Occidental Mindoro, ay naipasa po natin ang conversion ng aming Occidental Mindoro State College into a university. So, kasi po ito'y isang malaking tulong para sa aming mga estudyante dahil karamihan ng mga estudyante na hindi na i-offer yung mga courses na gusto nila sa aming kolehiyo ay pumupunta pa po sa Manila, pumupunta pa sa Batangas. But with the conversion of our state college into a university, mas marami yung courses na ma-offer. So, hindi na para mahiwalay sa pamilya ang aming mga estudyante at dito na lang po sila makapag-aral.
Ilang school po yung nakontribute?
Iisa lang po ang aming state college, pero napakarami pong campus annex. We have I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 campuses nung iisang school, yung state college namin. And I was also able to pass a law para magkaroon din po ng branch ang Polytechnic University of the Philippines or the PUP. So parang pag talaga pong nakakomply na ng administrative requirements ang aming Occidental Mindoro State College and talaga magiging full-fledged university, we will have 2 universities in Occidental Mindoro.
So yung panakalan niyang hindi pa...
Na-approve na po yan, batas na po yan. Mayroon na po kaming PUP dito, nandyan po sa Sablayan, at yun pong sinasabi ko na na-approve na, napirmahan na po, batas na po yung conversion ng Occidental Mindoro State College into a university. Meron lang pong administrative requirements na kailangang i-comply, and hopefully by April of this year, mako-comply na and they will be given their certificate of being a university.
So, ngayong pagbabalik ninyo sa Kongreso, pagpapatuloy niyo po yung issue na yun?
Wala na pong gagawin sa Kongreso dahil that has been signed into a law. That's a Republic Act already. But iba po kasi yung batas at iba po yung administrative compliance ng eskwelahan. So, yun na lang po ang hinihintay.
So, nasaan na yung administrative compliance ninyo?
Sa CHED po yan, sa CHED. At kung madadagdag ko pa, nakapag-create po ako, nakapagpa sa batas ng creation ng 2 barangays na yung mga barangays po yan ay 100% na ang residents and ano dyan po ay mga katutubong mangyan. So yung dalawang barangays na yan, one in San Jose which is Naibuan and another one in Abra de Ilog and they call Santa Maria, yan po ay talagang 100% ng mga katutubong mangyan. So ang kanilang kapitan, ang lahat ng kanilang kagawad ay puro mga katutubong mangyan. So this is an empowerment of our indigenous peoples.
So, during po na kayo gobernador dito sa Occidental Mindoro, ano po yung mga nagawa niyo para sa ating
Unang-una po ay kami po ang isa sa mga unang na-awarda ng Ford Foundation na dahil ang napakalawak na programa tungkol po rin sa aming mga katutubong mangyan. Yun po yung literacy ng aming mga katutubo. Dahil sa kabundukan po sila nanirirahan, wala pong mga regular schools when I started as governor in the province. So we started building schools in the Mangyan communities and dahil pag minsan wala pong mga guro na talagang umaakit ng bundok, so ano po ako ng programa na yung pong parang para teachers. And nagtitrain po kami, nag-encourage po kami ng mga Mangyan students. We sent them to school to become teachers. So yung mga Mangyan students po, yung mga Mangyan graduates, sila na po went back to their own communities to teach. And dahil nakita po na maganda yung aming programa, nabigyan po kami ng special funding ng UNICEF. At nagpa-printa po kami ng sariling libro ng mga katutubo in their own dialect. So, yun po ang isa sa napakagandang nagawa namin dahil talagang we really fought hard for the empowerment of our indigenous peoples.
Yeah, in terms of tourism and investors,
Yung sa tourism po, ito po ang isa sa mga landmark laws for the last Congress. At ito po yung expanded National Integrated Protected Area System. Ako po at ang aking staff noon sa Kongreso ay naglibot po kami ng buong Pilipinas para ma-identify ang 100 plus protected areas. Kasi po in the past, before this bill, yung aking bill po, before my bill became law, yun pong mga protected areas ay wala pong sariling pundo. Kasi hindi pa po naisa sa batas yung kanilang yung status nila being protected areas. But with the passage of the ENIPAS or what I said, Expanded National Integrated Protected Area System, nagkaroon na po ng parang mandatory na taon-taon sa General Appropriations Act meron pong pundo ang bawat protected areas na ito. Ito po yung sinasabi mo na yung talagang mga areas natin for tourism, areas po natin ng para sa biodiversity, hindi lang po para sa tourism, pero para yung proteksyon at mapangalagaan ang ating mga likas na yaman sa buong bansang Pilipinas. And because of this ENIPAS law, ay naging aktibo po ako sa biodiversity financing ng mga areas hindi lang po dito sa Pilipinas, but I became member of the Ivory Alliance for the Wildlife Trade Initiative nung ako po kauna-unahan at kaisa-isahan hanggang ngayon na Pilipina na invite ni Prince Charles noon, na ngayon ay King Charles na, when he organized that Ivory Alliance basically to fight the illegal wildlife trade, especially of the endangered species. So yun po ang aking parang advocacy to protect biodiversity, to fight against illegal wildlife trade. Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, nagiging rampant na rin po yung mga illegal wildlife trade. Katulad ng ating mga pangolins Oo. Yan po ang isa sa mga nagiging subject ng illegal wildlife trade, yung ating mga endangered species. Kasi dito po sa Occidental Mindoro, meron din po kaming endangered species, yung pong tamaraw. At yan po ay marami po akong batas na para pa-proteksyonan ang tamaraw. So dahil po dyan sa aking advocacy na yan, in 2024, last year po, ay namili po ang United Nations Development Program Biodiversity Financing at pumili po sila ng 5 tinawag po nilang Champions of Change in Biodiversity Financing. 5 po sa buong mundo ang pinili nila. And isang malaking karangalan po na isa po tayo doon. The only Filipina and only Asian chosen to be one of the 5 champions of change for biodiversity.
Anyway, sa ano naman po, ano po yung nag-inspire sa inyo pong to run for the district or congress po for the upcoming midterm election?
Yeah. Alam mo kasi talagang sinasabi nga natin yung trabaho natin para sa ating bayan ay walang katapusan. It's an ending, it's a project in progress. At kasi noong nakaraang term ko na bilang congressman, nag-file ako ng 2 panukalang batas bills for establishment of a export processing zone in EPSA in Iling Island, San Jose Occidental, Mindoro. But this export processing zone is different from the other export processing zone because we made the research and all over the Philippines, kukonti lang yung agri-based export processing zone or agro-industrial export processing zone. I think there are only about 5 or 6 in the whole country. And Occidental Mindoro being basically an agricultural province. Kasi po ang Occidental Mindoro ranks number 2 or number 3 in terms of palay production nationwide. Occidental Mindoro po has become the salt capital of the Philippines. We produce 47% of the salt requirement of the Philippines. And marami po kaming high value crops. We have onions, we have garlics, and so, at saka napaka-rich po ng aming marine resources. And the recent development which is also contributing to the economy of Occidental Mindoro is that nagkaroon po ng change in the migratory route of tuna. Dati-dati po, ang tuna ay talagang diyan sa Gensan, sa General Santos. Pero ngayon po, dahil nagpalit ang migratory route ng tuna, dito na po dumadaan sa Island Verde Passage. Kaya dito na po ang daanan ng napakalalaki at high quality tuna. So yung po mga traders from Gensan, nandito na po sa amin. So that will also support yung akin pong export processing zone bill na hindi lang palay, hindi lang salt, hindi lang agricultural products, but marine resources. So, yun po ang aking talagang gusto, kaya ako gustong bumalik, para maging batas na po. Kasi na-approve na po yung bill ko sa Congress. Nakaabot na po kami sa Senado, but naabutan po kami ng end of term. Kaya siguro isa sa rason kung bakit babalik ako. Kasi yung export processing zone will really be a catalyst for the economic development of Occidental Mindoro. At may kakambal na panukalang batas yan. Kasi po, historically, itong aming Paluan, if you look at the map of Occidental Mindoro, yung Paluan, parang malaking cove yan parang Eagle's Peak na ganyan, na malalim yung cove. And historically, during the Spanish time, yan pong Paluan Cove na yan po yung talagang shipyard dockyard and shipbuilding facility during the Spanish time. So I said, I want to bring it back. I want to revive that and make that as a parang for medium-sized shipbuilding facility. Actually, before I ended my term, we were in initial talks with the medium-sized shipbuilders in Japan kasi they find Subic, they find Cebu as a little crowded for them. So I was offering them the Paluan Cove, and hopefully when God willing I would be elected again as Congress, then I will push for that establishment of an international shipyard in Paluan.
Hope naman na maupo kayo ulit sa Congress.
Okay. Kung nagkaroon kami ng some research din kasi dahil na-mention nyo naman po kanina na very rich in historical stories po si Occidental Mindoro. We're just quite, or pwede nyo po bang i-elaborate pa or kwento sa amin about the Hiro Onoda?
Hiroo Onoda. Hiroo Onoda was the longest parang straggler kasi he stayed in the forest of Lubang Island for 30 years after the war. He thought that war was still raging. So a lot of people was convincing him at that time to come out and surrender. He said, his motto is that no retreat, no surrender. So what the government of Japan and the government of the Philippines, because before, nag-research yan sila, kino-confirm kung talagang struggler siya. So, but it appeared na talagang dalawa silang stragglers in the of Lubang. But one passed away, and he was the one who survived for 30 years alone in the forest of Lubang. And then so they had to bring his commander from Japan to Lubang Island, and he was already old. And kasi sinasabi sa kanya, lumabas ka na, war is over, ganyan. Ayaw niya, because sabi niya, only my commander can order me to come out. So they brought the commander back to Lubang Island. And so they combed the forest of Lubang for the holding the microphone or the sound system. Come out, war is over, this is your commander. So he came out. And when he came out, he was still wearing his uniform. A little tattered, but he was still and his sword. He even offered it to President Marcos at that time. And there is a small museum for all his paraphernalia at the army camp in Taguig, I think, yeah. And we've been asking them to donate that to Occidental Mindoro, but because we believe that rightfully belongs to the province of Occidental Mindoro. And when he came out, everybody, but I was still young at the time, but everybody was so surprised. And when he went back to Japan, he was considered as a folk hero. Kasi talagang naninindigan siya. He was the epitome of Japanese soldier discipline and commitment. Na parang, hindi ako susuko. Bakit ako susuko? Susuko lang ako or makikinig lang ako sa order ng commander ko. And then after that, when he went back to Japan, he got married and and then he bought a ranch in Brazil. Dahil pag winter sa Japan, pupunta siya ng Brazil, and then he opened a school. Parang yung ano bang tawag niya dun sa school niya, na parang tinitrain niya ang mga bata. Parang survival camp, parang ganon. Parang survival camp. And then in 1988, because I got married to my Japanese husband in 1992, and then at that time, when I first became governor, Occidental Mindoro had the longest gravel road in the Philippines. Pinakang masamang kalsada ang Occidental Mindoro. And then one time I was discussing with my husband. I said, how can I get the attention of the Japanese government? Because at that time, at hanggang ngayon naman, ang pinakang malaking contribution sa overseas development assistance ng Pilipinas ay ang Japan. So I was asking my husband, how can I get the attention of the Japanese government? And then he said, bring back Onoda to Occidental Mindoro. So we mahaba na ba?
Go ahead. It's your,
Tapos I organized a team. I brought all the mayors to Japan to convince him because at first ayaw niyang bumalik. He was afraid na akala niya galit yung sentimento ng tao, na galit sa Hapon, ganon. And at that time, in 1988, the raging issue at that time was the comfort to women na mga nagprotesta pa ang mga non. So, even the ambassador of Japan to the Philippines, he was against na pabalikin si Onoda. But we persisted, and then finally, he agreed to come back on a sentimental journey. So he brought him back to Lubang Island, and he nakakatuwa kasi parang sine na he requested us na kung pwedeng if he can go up the mountains by himself kasi he wants to to retrace yung niya. Ako ayaw kong papayag noon because he was my responsibility. Kung may mangyari sa kanya, di ako naman yon. So I did not want to allow him, but finally, sabi ko, sige, you go. Pero pinapasundan ko kasi natatakot din ako. Kasi may edad na rin siya noon. And then the soldiers who were following him described when he first saw that spot, kasi noong lumabas na siya, my husband at that time, na hindi ko pa siya kakilala noon, he was the one who organized a group to put up parang a monument na doon si Onoda nagtira, doon sa And then when he saw that monument, he knelt down and cried down. So it was a very dramatic And that sentimental journey was covered by CNN, BBC, all the international networks, and we were successful in getting the attention. And then when he went back to Japan, he invited us. So and then he accompanied us to Overseas Economic Cooperation Fund, which is yan yung parang ng JICA. So he appealed to them. Sabi niya, I owe Occidental Mindoro a lot. Tapos, so, OECF, handa naman kami, in-offer namin yung aming proposal para i-concrete yung aming highway from Magsaysay to Abra de Ilog. So, yan ang start ng pagkapapaganda ng aming kalsada. Kasi at the time, in-endorse din kami ni President Fidel Ramos. So, and it's history that we were able to improve our national highway with the funding from JICA. And because of that, from 1988 up to the present, I still sit in the advisory board of JICA. JICA is Japan International Cooperation Agency.
Amazing.
Haba ng kwento ko.
Overwhelmed lang po. Actually, habang kinikwento nyo kasi, iniisip yung during the time na nag-start kayo as sa political career nyo po, no? So, na kayo ng presidents na rin po pala kayo, no?
Huwag mo masyadong emphasize na hahalata yung edad ko
Hindi kasi yung experiences nyo po. So, talagang kaya kayo ganun kamahalata ng mga Mindorenians. So, yun po yung gusto kong i-highlight din sa topic na to. So, sa 2025 midterm elections po, baka tayo na-invade na natin yung time ni Kong. Alam po namin busy kayo. So, it's your the spotlight and the camera is yours para invite po natin or ipanawagan po natin ulit yung mga Mindoreños sa pag-seek niyo po ng seat sa ating Congress?
Sa amin pong mga kababayan ng lalawigan ng Occidental Mindoro, marami na po tayong nagawa, marami po together, kasama po kayong lahat sa ating nagawa para sa ating lalawigan. Alam po naman nyo kung papaano tayo nagsimula at kung papaano tayo nakarating sa ating kinatatayuan ngayon. Pero marami pa rin po tayong dapat gawin. Before, ang sinasabi natin, yung economic development ng ating lalawigan ay hindi po natutuunan ng pansin because we had to build the roads and the bridges first. Kasi ito po yung talagang kailangan at ito ang fundasyon ng economic development ng ating lalawigan. At ang sinasabi ko nga po, the time is ripe for all of us na harapin ang mas malawak na hamon para sa ating lalawigan. At sa akin pong pananaw ay kailangan po natin na pagtulungan na magkaroon talaga ng agro-industrial export processing zone in Occidental Mindoro. And ang site po na aking naiisip ay ang Iling Island. And ipagpipilitan din po natin na magkaroon po tayo ng international shipyard and facility sa Paluan. Parang ibalik po natin yung istorya noong panahon ng Kastila na yan daw po naman talaga ang sentro ng pag-awaan ng barko. But these two bills na talagang magiging centerpiece po ng ating susunod na mga taon ay ito po talaga ang catalyst para sa ating pag-angat ng antas ng ekonomiya natin. Dahil ako po ay nalulungkot when I left the government service, we were on the path to attaining the status of first-class province. But I don't know what happened. According to the last report of the National Economic Development Authority, that Occidental Mindoro has the highest inflation rate in the Mimaropa region, which means dito po sa atin ang pinakang mahal na bilihin. And I think ito po ay na-trigger noong napatawan kami ng pinakang mahal na kuryente, ng rate ng kuryente. And I mean, I don't want to be pointing fingers, but at least naman with the help of the President, bumalik na po yung aming rate ng kuryente. But malaki pa rin po ang problema namin dahil nandyan pa rin yung mga brownout namin and ang hindi pa rin po talaga reliable yung supply ng power namin. So that will also have to be addressed. And but ako lang po is the time is ripe for us to be one of the economic centers, not only of Mimaropa region but of the whole Philippines. And that's a big job for all of us, but we can do it dahil alam ko po kung gaano kagagaling ang taga-Occidental Mindoro.